Europe's role in the world is becoming irrelevant. There's moments in history where for centuries nothing happens, and there's moments where in a few days everything happens. But China has done a very good job in making Russia a junior player, really benefiting from Russian natural resources, technical expertise, and they will take the message that it's an open door to take Taiwan. They've wanted that for many years. And this is the moment in history we're living in.
What can Europe do, or what is Europe planning to do to cover for itself now? What were the discussions like?
Again, I think if there is a silver lining from all this, it's that Europeans have got to get their act together. And I think the moment of complacency is gone. I think the White House and the U.S. administration erased that completely from Europeans' minds. Sure, there's a lot of panic in Europe now, but to your earlier point, why haven't we seen the Europeans actually use those billions of Russian assets over the last 3 years? They're basically sitting as cash, depreciating in bank accounts. Why haven't they just taken it and said, we need money to pay for the war? It's sitting right here. Let's just take it. I think some of the currency effects that you alluded to are overstated. And also in a time of war, you have to take on risk. And Europe hasn't been willing to take on risk. They had, let's say, at least 3 years, but I would argue at least since the Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2014, where the Russians annexed Crimea and parts of Ukraine's east already. So it's more than 10 years now to invest in their defense industrial base, stop depending as much on the United States, and actually do things like very basic things. Europe has no ability to defend itself without the United States. They can't even muster a significant defense force to send to Ukraine if the need became that, which it might. And so Europe is deeply vulnerable. And right after the Munich Security Conference, as the negotiations between Russia and the United States were kicking off in Saudi Arabia, what we saw was an emergency leaders meeting that President Macron called in Paris. Many of the big European leaders came to that. But what was the outcome of that? There's a lot of hand wringing and debates. Maybe they discussed removing these debt ratios that all European countries have to abide by, which basically means they can't borrow money to invest in defense at a significant level, which is what they have to do. But have they actually done it? We saw an announcement from the UK and some other countries saying that they'd be willing to send troops, but how many? From where? Where are they going to come from? So Europe's role in the world is becoming irrelevant, despite the fact that Europe still has one of the largest economies as a whole, like the EU bloc. It's the largest trading partner to the US. It has a huge amount of resources.